Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, I have my trusted buddy Dustin here to help review Longrow Sherry Cask 14-year-old. Dustin, you picked this limited edition bottle for me. Comes in at a whopping 57.8% ABV. This is a Refill Oloroso Sherry Cask, distilled September 2003, bottled July, hopefully 4th, of 2018. Total outturn, 9,000 bottles. So it's a rare one, another rare Longrow. I'm excited to get into it.
Yep.
Yeah, so Longrow from the Springbank distillery. In case it's your first time you're watching one of my whiskey reviews or first time looking at a Longrow, Campbelltown whiskey distillery, which is technically in the mainland, but kind of on a peninsula on the west coast of Scotland. Known for their very earthy, Springbank, funky style of whiskey, which is very, very unique.
And you still get it on some of the non-Springbank Longrows, although there's really only two separate companies, but anyway.
Yeah.
But this is Springbank's heavily peated version.
Yep.
Heavily peated, of course, means something different in Campbelltown than anywhere else in the world.
2 times distilled.
Yep.
Natural color, unchill filtered. Beautiful color. Beautiful, rich, caramel, mahogany style color.
Yeah, we were just actually talking before we got filming. I was like, I've tasted this. I know it's not what Springbank likes to call their fresh sherry, which means basically they didn't bother to finish dumping all the sherry out of the barrel, so there's still some, nice wet barrels. It's definitely not that in the taste, but the color on this, I mean...
Yeah, it's dark.
Like, this looks... I mean, if you put this next to like a Macallan 18...
Oh, yeah, it's every bit the same color or something.
Or even like a Glendronach 18, those Allardyces that are...
Yeah, this brings you 9/10 of the color. Easy.
At least, yeah. So, now some of that is, of course, cask strength, but...
Yeah, very, very, very dark whiskey.
Yeah.
And again, sherried whiskey, so... Whenever it's Oloroso Sherry, nice and fruity. I think it always has a nice balance, especially that Longrow spirit that's kind of funky. So let's get into it. On the nose.
So every time I go into one of these sherried whiskeys anymore,
that's funky.
There is something when sherry just like it's been drenched in oak, and it's like it's a damp, wet oak, and
wet
like
wood, driftwood.
Wet driftwood, and then like just that fruity red fruit sherry. And that is just all over this. And I'll be honest, when I first got one of these bottles, I was not sure if I liked it. It took me a little while to get past it. It took a little time opening up. But your bottle's been open for...
Yeah, my bottle's fairly full, but don't let that fool you. I opened this as soon as I got it, so I don't know how long ago you picked up this bottle for me, 4 or 5 months ago, at least.
It might be 6.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
It's been open for a while. And usually with Longrows and Springbanks in general, I like to get them open, so they kind of transition a little bit. But as you said on this channel before, most of the transition from this distillery happens in the glass.
It really does, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm picking up some plums and dates. Probably more plum than date, plum skin. Sugar cookies, dough left out all night.
You know what, I'm actually for the first time not getting that on a Springbank Longrow. I'm getting pretzels.
Boy, I'm getting that.
I'm getting those those big, pretzels that'll give you with the cheese. I'm getting like one of those like smelling that cooking. I'm getting a little of that here. That's
it's that dough, yeah.
I'm not getting the sugar cookie. I'm getting that pretzel dough.
Oh, I know the sweetness of sugar cookies, but the dough note is a separate note.
Yeah, I'm thinking like Worcestershire sauce, that or soy sauce, something like in that realm.
Worcestershire, I haven't heard that in a while, but yeah, something you put on a hamburger. It is meaty too.
Yeah. Again, it's meaty. It's not peaty. It's meaty. There's peat, but it's meaty. Yeah,
it's very absent of both of a smoky peatiness. That's fairly absent. I mean, it's not completely, it's not non-existent, but it's fairly absent compared to what other Longrows are. That and
maybe a little bit of charcoal, but I mean very little. Very clean charcoal.
And just the funkiness has stepped up on this, just in general, in my opinion.
Yeah, the sherry they chose for this one really imparted funk. Like, it imparted funk that's not part of the Springbank Longrow funk. It's a separate funk. It's got its own funk.
Yeah, it's almost like driftwood that washed ashore and it's sitting in mud and moss is starting to grow on it.
Yeah.
And someone put a brick in the middle of it. there's like a cement sort of. Not maybe cement, but more like a stone note.
Oh, you know what it actually is? I was gonna say charcoal. No, it's
mineral.
There's definitely mineral. It's a very clean wood smoke. Like,
Yeah, but I'm getting like moss on a rock.
yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like there's like the peat here. That's a clean like wood smoke. I mean, like a really clean, like not, you know, like they threw a log in there, but they took like, you know, a 2x4 that had been, you know, very cleanly done.
Almost like a wood, like a treated 2x4.
Yeah, almost like, you know, they're trying to like an oven pizza smoke, you know.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's what you're saying.
Yeah. That very clean, like they're not trying to impart any flavor from the smoke, but you know, there's still smoke.
Yeah, the smoke to me is very, very different on one. The only thing, you know, because I've had this whiskey a few times, the best thing I can come up with is this. I always grew up, I grew up in two houses. Lived in one house in Illinois till I was 10, and then lived one from 10 to when I went off to school, and both of them had wood-burning fireplaces. And sometimes we would cut down some trees in the backyard, and we throw it in there once the fire kind of got going, and there'd be a lot of sap in that wood. Like when the sap started popping in the fire, that smell with the wood smoke burning and the sap crackling, I'm getting a little bit of that crackling sap in a traditional house wood fire. The sherry really balances it out pretty nice.
Yeah, the sherry is playing equal parts. So we've talked about other Longrows and other Springbanks where they do a really good job of taking that traditional malt and then adding finishing, but the finishing not really changing the whiskey. This, I'd say the casting is playing the same level of impact here as the malt. They're equals. They're both partners here. And that's something you don't get because it's hard to overpower a Longrow malt.
I tell you what, on the palate, man, initially you're getting that sweetness from the grape note, but as soon as you swallow, man, you get that burnt oak note.
Yeah.
Toasted oak, almost like sootiness from it. Like almost a sootiness that I get sometimes from Lagavulins, like the 12-year-old cask strength. There's a sootiness to it. But then here comes, after the linger, here comes a little bit of that sweetness back. You know what I mean? This is when it kind of goes into that thing you said was a pretzel. To me, now it's kind of getting more into a sugar cookie than a pretzel. But sweetness, and it kind of jumps back and forth. Initially, it's sweet on the palate.
Yeah.
Then when you swallow, it's meaty and it's smoky and it's oaky. Then it goes back into sweetness. What are you picking up?
So I'm getting all the oak talk you're bringing in, but I'm back to that sherry drenched oak where the sherry and the oak have just kind of become one. And it's bringing these bitter tannins, an oakiness, then it's bringing in like the sweetness of the sherry, and they're balancing each other. It's wet, it's damp, it's dark, it's dank, all there. But then you're right, I'm getting a little of sugar cookie on the finish now, but during the initial phase, I'm actually getting again that pretzel. I'm just getting this beautiful like pretzel dough, and you know, it's like it's darker than a sugar cookie. It's less sweet. It's because the sweetness to me is coming from that Oloroso.
You know, I'm almost picking up too, like on the linger, like a dark balsamic vinaigrette note. You know what I mean? With a tad of, there's a twinge of vinegar mixed in with it.
I mean, there's some sour here. I mean, again, like I said, there's a vinegar barbecue thing I get.
Yeah, now that makes more sense when you say vinegar barbecue.
But like you're right though. The sherry's kind of taking some of that barbecue note out a little bit, and maybe it is kind of going more vinaigrette. You could be right.
With the sherry cask, it kind of, you know, it intermingles nice at some points, then I think it drives flavors in a different direction at other points.
Yeah.
But I mean, just overall, man, another whiskey that you're picking up multiple things. You know, we could have 5 people sample this whiskey, and if we all wrote down, say, our top 5 flavors aromas as far as nose and flavors as far as taste, when you combine the 5, there'd be 20 different results. You know what I mean? Out of a possible 25, there's a lot going on. Here's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and you know, I'll be honest, when I first got this, I was a Longrow Springbank fan long before I bought this bottle, and I was just kind of like, I don't know if I really appreciate what this is doing. And as I've gone back to it, and I bought 2 bottles, I still have a bottle at home. I have become so appreciative of this sherry dank wood thing. And I've got some other whiskeys that actually have a similar note without all of the other stuff. I love that.
All right, so now we threw a few drops of water in. What are you getting?
So, you know, I don't think the water, again, here is doing much on the nose for me. Again, I think...
It made it sweeter, in my opinion. Or it seems more sugary. It seems more... It's focusing more on the candied notes, in my opinion.
You know what I think it maybe did a little bit is it brought down some of the funky oak.
Maybe it's letting the sweeter notes come out.
Yeah, you know, it is muting that slightly. You're right, yeah. And because it's doing that, the sweetness is a little more prevalent. It's the same profile, it's just, it's taking a little of that oak bitter out.
Yeah, no, I agree. Do you see where I'm getting with the sugar cookies now? Like sugar cookies, maybe with like a pink icing. No.
Actually, the pink icing. Now I'm with you there.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Before I said, like a white icing, but now it's like a pink icing.
Yeah,
Pink icing is like a darker, denser sort of
Yeah,
smell
yeah,
and
yeah.
icing.
Well, it adds a little bit more of like it adds more, and there's more here.
Sadly, I've been a cookie connoisseur lately. I've just gotten tons of them sent to me in the last month or so. So, been eating a lot of cookies, and I guess this will just come just forefront to my mind as far as the sweetness. As far as the taste with a few drops of water, what do you think?
It has integrated. Everything is more connected.
Mm-hmm.
It's all. It's still going here now as I'm talking here, and I'm actually now getting what I love the most about this whiskey, which is that oak sherry dankness. It went from being in the mid palate to now being mostly in the finish. So for me, this one is going to be a no water, not because I don't love what it did with the water, but it's muting what I like the most about this whiskey.
It made it sweeter with water.
Oh, it did.
Both on the nose and on the palate. So I guess it depends on what you're trying to get out of the whiskey. So where are you at as far as the whiskey score on this one?
I think we're going to go 89 on this one.
Dang, man. I tell you what, I should have said mine first. We should need to write this down before
Yeah.
we reveal it. I'm at an 89. I mean, very good whiskey. There's really not anything wrong with it. It's been enjoyable.
Yeah.
I look forward to enjoying this for a long time to come.
Yeah, I will say, if you get this, you don't like it initially, give it time. I'm telling you, I was probably an 86 when I opened the bottle, and I was like, I don't know about this. Why is everybody raving about it? And
It has gotten better.
as the bottle gets to, around here, and you let it sit.
Well, it depends on how quick you get the bottle there. I've had this bottle open 5 months and I'm still right here.
Well, I was a little higher, but basically my point is, once you get it down into the shoulder, because if you don't get into the shoulder, I don't think it starts aging. I think if you just drink to here or something, I don't know if that's going to help.
You need to get in the thick part of the bottle.
Yeah. You got to get to where there's a little bit of oxygen on it.
Yeah, it needs to oxidate. There's no doubt about that. All right, so we're both at 89. We both agree on this particular one. Scary. We've agreed a few times on whiskey scores these days, but you'll have that, I suppose. Well, once again, thank you for joining for another whiskey review. If you can pick this one up, I'd recommend it. I'm sure Dustin would, especially at the price we got it. And until next time, we wish you
Happy drinking.
see you next time.